This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to replace professional medical advice or be a substitute for therapy. Please contact a mental health professional as needed. If you are in need of urgent or emergency health care, please contact your medical and or mental health provider, call 911, or go to your nearest emergency room. The information presented in this podcast does not reflect the opinions of those with whom Dr. Ellick might be affiliated as an employee, consultant, or colleague, past or present. Hello, and welcome to another episode of From Mayhem to Mindset with Dr. Laura. I am your host, Dr. Laura Ellick. I am very excited to introduce my guest today, Dave Mahler. It is so nice to see you.
Yeah, it's good.
Very nice to see you. So I'm going to introduce you because you have like a really compelling story. So overcoming profound personal challenges and tragedy, Dave has transformed his lived experience into a source of strength, compassion, and hope for individuals and families affected by substance use disorders. Raised in Brooklyn, New York, after losing his father when he was 10 years old, he was exposed to drugs at an early age. Even so, he developed a strong work ethic and an enduring drive to build a meaningful and successful life. His professional path led him to a career as a foreign currency broker, an experience forever shaped by history. He was working in the World Trade Center during both the 1993 bombing and the attacks of 9/11. Surviving those events deepened his perspective on resilience, gratitude, and the urgency of living a life of service and purpose. His commitment to helping others grew even stronger when addiction touched his own family, particularly through his daughter Dana's struggles. Walking through that pain as a parent changed him. It clarified his calling and led him to dedicate his life to recovery coaching through his practice, Ground Zero Recovery Coaching, where he supports others in finding healing, stability, and renewed hope. His coaching philosophy is rooted in trust, empathy, and authentic human connection. Having walked the path of recovery himself and having lived as both the parent and spouse of loved ones impacted by substance use disorder, he brings a deeply personal understanding of the fear, confusion, and possibility that accompany change. He draws on years of experience supporting individuals and families, meeting people exactly where they are while helping them move toward where they want to be. He believes recovery happens in community. Very, very true. Connection, accountability, and shared experience can transform isolation into strength. By sharing his story and standing beside his clients as a steady companion, he helps people take that first courageous step toward recovery and continue forward into lasting wellness. Welcome, Dave. It is so nice to see you.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thank you.
There's just so much in there. First of all, I haven't really spoken, especially in Florida, to too many people who not only, witnessed 9/11
Right.
Firsthand, but was present during both bombings.
Yeah.
Now, I have an uncle by marriage who was in the towers both times also. Okay. So, but I'm not that close to him, so I haven't heard his personal story, except, his experience after 93 was when they told him, stay in the towers, everything's going to be okay. He's like, I'm running like hell because right. I know what happened the first time. So what was that like for you, and how do you think that shaped your journey?
Talking about 93 or the whole?
Both of them. That's not too many people can say they made it through one, let alone two.
So in 93, that was the time when I was still partying. And I used to meet my brother in the basement of the building to smoke, probably around 11 o'clock each morning. And I was in the middle of a big trade and I couldn't leave my desk. And my brother decided not to go down. And that's about the time the bomb hit.
Mm-hmm. And that was in the garage, if I remember correctly,
and that's
right?
where we used to meet. And it was just fate that day that we didn't go down there.
Mm-hmm.
I had just gone upstairs to a bank on the 96th floor. Mm. And I was walking down, I had to walk down the 96 flights, which was pretty traumatic. It was a long walk. They tried to push us into the different hallways and offices to get better air. I wanted no part of it. I ran by the police and ran down on my own, passing bags, codes. So.
Well, that's the other thing that people don't really understand. It wasn't like, okay, I'm leaving, and this is like a really easy saunter down the stairs. There was smoke. No. It was dark on a lot of the floors. Is that correct?
One thing I didn't know was like every 10 flights for fire safety, your stairway ended.
there's a landing or something, isn't there?
So
Or
the stairway would end, and you'd have to go down the hall to continue the stairs.
right.
Every 10 or 15 flights. So it was pretty crazy. You had to make sure you saw it, found it.
Hmm.
Went to the hospital that night, and I had so much soot on my body,
Hmm.
and I needed oxygen and stuff like that. But I was fine.
Hmm. Now you had soot all over your body from the actual walking down.
Yeah.
So how far away from the towers were you when they fell?
This is 93.
Oh, 93. Okay.
93.
Mhm.
So we'll fast forward to when the plane hit. I'm working on the 26th floor. Almost everybody I worked with was in the tower 93. We get hit. Our seat moved like a rubber band. It was the craziest thing. I must have moved about 6 feet. Our whole area moved and came back. We all got up right to the stairs.
So you knew.
It was time to go. Got to the lobby. The lobby was melted. No wall coverings, no carpet. A fireball had shot through the lobby. Still not knowing it was terrorists yet.
When you felt the the whole
It's
like
craziest
floor move, right? Did you guys know what happened based on the previous
All we
experience?
thought was, a lot of commercial flights go by there. A lot of private planes fly by. We thought it was an accident.
Gotcha.
Get to the lobby, and I actually bumped into a Port Authority police officer I grew up with. I hadn't seen him in 20 years. He's like, cover your head, stuff's falling down. And we left through the Vista Hotel, which was on the side of the building. And the second I got out of the building, the second plane is right above my head.
So you saw it flying in.
That scene you see on TV, I'm right directly underneath. I could read the numbers on the bottom of the plane. And my mindset was, how do I get away from the glass?
Mm.
So I was thinking, I'll run into Battery Park City. It's on an angle. It's crazy. But what do you do whatever you can? There were people out there crying.
I'm sure.
But I saw a ferry going towards New Jersey. I said, let me go back, try to get the next ferry. That brought me back to the building because that's where the ferry left from, behind the building. And I was there watching people jump.
Mm.
I saw people holding hands, jumping, 2 and 3s, clutching pocketbooks. I couldn't even get it, but I was so close. And I was going through marriage counseling, my first marriage at that time. I sit down with a therapist, and she's talking to us, and she goes, I can't marriage counsel with you guys. You have PTSD. She said, I need to talk to you a few weeks or months before we can go into marriage counseling. I didn't even know I had it. I was like, either I was in denial or nothing fazed me, and I thought I was okay.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And that's how it sneaks up on
Yeah.
people. Oftentimes, the person who is suffering is the last person to know.
yeah. And even now when I talk about it, I get a little twinge, but nothing terrible. You picture it again happening. You see it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mhm. So going through that experience was obviously it's life-changing,
oh God. Yeah.
right? So how did you start your pivot to where you are now? Was it that or was it after your daughter?
No, so at that time, we got set up in a temporary office, and we just did what we could to, still keep our broking business going. I'm a foreign currency broker.
Did they close at all? I can't remember if businesses closed.
We didn't close.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we were up and running by the next Monday morning.
That must have been surreal.
Yeah. I mean, we were in like a warehouse. Mayor Bloomberg knew the president of my company, and he gave us free office space. But he was also a businessman. He also put one of his terminals in front of everyone everyone left paying for it by the end of the year. It was surreal still working. I mean, we were using Nextel phones in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Clients were helping us as best they could because we were the only ones in the building in our industry. It was kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's 2001. So my daughter, maybe a year or two later, started having issues. And I remember this story always hits me. It's like she got grounded in high school for weed. And my first wife, she has passed since, she wanted to ground my daughter. My daughter went in the garage, went into one of my old golf bags, pulled out a bag of weed and says, my father's, how can you ground me? And I was crushed. I was like, wow. That was my last day of smoking weed. I said, I can't smoke anymore. And still entertaining on Wall Street. Drinking alcohol was never really a big deal to me. I could take it or leave it. And partying once in a while. But then her drug use, we lived in a semi-affluent neighborhood. Kids are staying home. They're bored. They're playing around, going to medicine cabinets. The pills are on the table. My daughter gets hooked to like oxycodone and pills like that. And the chaos begins in my home. We're like lost, never been through this before. You look for treatment centers online and they all look the same. And that's one of the things I do as a coach. I try to guide parents with the landscape, send them to places I trust, which is very important. And that grows as you go along in the industry. As you know, there are places you trust, some places you don't.
Now, were you living in the city at that time or were you on Long Island?
We were in Marlboro, New Jersey.
Marlboro, New Jersey. Okay. Because I know growing up on Long Island, there's not much there for treatment. I don't know about your particular area.
She went to an outpatient at Princeton House first, which was pretty good. It wasn't enough. And then we sent her away to a place in Florida, which was not the right level of care, and things got worse, which we found out the hard way. And that's another, again, I want to help parents with that.
Right. Right.
It was a right fit. It's important.
So you go through this, entire situation with your daughter. How is she doing now?
Okay. So my daughter must have bounced around 15 or 20 different treatment centers in South Florida. Finally got clean at a place that didn't care about money or insurance. A great couple in the industry. She was at Ocean Breeze. They ended up putting her through school for KSAC, Ph.D. She started working in the industry. She stayed sober for 7 years. And in 2020, I lost my daughter.
I'm so sorry.
She was clean 7 years. She went back out. And we could talk a little bit about that as well. She went to treatment for a month. Went to live in a sober home and COVID hit. And at the place where she was living, they didn't know what to do.
Nobody knew what to do.
Nobody knew. They said, we need women to go home and quarantine. I'm like, I'm a little worried about that. And they said, Dana runs all our groups. She's in the industry. She doesn't miss a meeting. She don't miss a group. And she takes over most of our groups. And she can go home. She didn't make it home. She went out and used that night.
That night?
Never made it back to my house, and I lost her Palm Sunday at 20.
How did you find out?
So her and her girlfriend wasn't using any substances, decided they were going to take a hotel and spend some time before they had to quarantine from seeing each other. And I was like worried about it. She's, no, we bought all the cleaning products. I'm going to cook. Everything's good. Don't worry.
And how long had she been clean at that time?
7 years. I thought it was, we were past this. But Dana thought she was Superwoman. She didn't work a program. She didn't have an accountability partner. She thought working in the industry was her program. And her girlfriend called me in the morning and said, Dana admitted she used during the night. We tried to stay up all night. I fell asleep and I found Dana in the morning.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
So obviously you're devastated as a parent.
Crushed.
Of course.
I had already been helping run a program like Celebrate Recovery, which Dana told me, Dad, you got to be there. You got to help people. I went to school for recovery coaching way before I started my practice. I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. I knew I wanted to help people. And then about 3 years ago, I launched the practice website and this and that. At first, I was coaching just word of mouth. And I just try to help people along the way, like my own daughter.
What made you decide to go into your own business versus just doing it the way you had been doing it before?
I knew when I went to school, I was always going to run it as a private practice. I just think that's who I am. I plus didn't want to be fixed to one location. Many places would hire me to coach for them. That's not what I'm looking to do. I like the way I'm doing it. People find my website, they call me, and we start a relationship that way. It's been working. I'm sorry. Would you want to ask me about that? Why am I doing it this way?
Yeah.
I like having my own practice. I like building it. I've built it from the ground up. I've been on Wall Street 30 plus years. I resigned at the end of the year. They asked me to stay on for a while to consult, train some of the younger guys that they have. And
so you had still been working in your other industry, and this was sort of like, I don't want to say a side gig because that sounds disrespectful to the work that you're doing, but it wasn't your full-time career.
Yeah, so I kept my coaching practice like a boutique practice, never coaching more than 6 people a week, which I couldn't. We're working a full-time job. But God was speaking to me all along, like, it's time to go. It's, just we're going to leave by March. And actually, when I go back to New York, will be my last day even in the office as a consultant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's a big move.
I'm totally done.
Totally done.
Yeah.
What do you think Dana would say?
What's that?
What do you think Dana would say?
Oh, my God. I know that every time I coach, she's sitting right there. I use a lot of the stuff she's taught me and told me along the years about what they went through, different programming, all kinds of things. Plus I've watched the good and the bad of the industry. Dana was body broke, trying to get her into treatment centers when she was younger. I marchman acted her when she was 18 years old, and they tried to force her into certain centers because people were getting paid. I saw that part of the industry, so I watch out for that. Ethics are very big to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So working in the industry your first experience was as a parent, right? Which that throws you in. And then you see it from the other perspective as a professional, as a referral source, as a business person. What did you learn about the industry, and what would you educate parents about as they're trying to get their children or spouses, partners help?
Plenty of things. First of all, when we're going through this, there's chaos in our home. So you need somebody to help you navigate the landscape, find the right level of care or what the diagnosis is and find the care for that. Not everybody needs the same thing. It's not one size fits all, as you know. Have a professional help you, whether it's an interventionist, whether it's a coach, a therapist, somebody who's going to direct you to a place that they trust. Important. Then everybody in the home needs to seek therapy because of the chaos. Your person that's going away for substance use may get well, hopefully. They come home, but you're still holding the resentment as the parent or the spouse. And they do one thing wrong and you throw it back in their face like, oh, remember you robbed my chain or you robbed my bag. But meanwhile, they're not that person anymore. And the family members use that because that's all they know. And they didn't get any help. So I think that the person with the substance use disorder has a much greater chance of succeeding if everyone in the household gets some therapy, gets some coaching, goes to a support group, and they're out there. There's so much resources today. There's no reason not to go somewhere.
Mm-hmm. So did you guys have the whole family system treated? I really believe in that part, like looking at the entire family, because as you were saying, it's very easy to send someone off to treatment and be like, fix my kid, fix my spouse, fix my whatever. Mm-hmm. How important to you in your family or in general do you feel that family work is also?
It helped us tremendously. My first wife, who was Dana's mom, was in AA herself. Then she clean many years, found her sobriety staying in the Christian church. I went to Naranon and Al-Anon, and I learned so many tools there of what you should and shouldn't do. And also found a community of people just like me. I remember being embarrassed walking through the doors, and after a half-hour conversations, everybody was either just like you or similar, and that breaks that stigma down. Mm-hmm. Stigma is so big in this industry, too. People are afraid to come forward. You work on a job like mine and somebody's got an alcohol or drug issue and they don't want to tell anybody. And what happens? They end up getting fired because of all the dumb things they do along the way instead of, hey, I need help. Companies are so big on having that choking victim sign and this sign. But how about the sign where, hey, if you have a mental health issue, you have a substance use disorder, come forward. You won't be fired. And be reassured about that.
Mm-hmm. So I know it's very easy to kind of Monday morning quarterback and look back on things, right? But, your daughter had been clean and sober for 7 years, right?
We thought we were in the clear.
Exactly. So what can you tell people about that? Are you ever, this is a loaded question, are you ever in the clear?
I think you need to always work some sort of program or have accountability partners or like a sponsor family, people that you can count on, people you can call when the tough times come because they're coming. We're all going to have troubles at one day or another. It's how we deal with them. If you don't have anybody and you decide to isolate, you're in trouble. I always say isolation kills. You stay in your own head instead of calling somebody, hey, can we get a cup of coffee? Can we meet? have a meeting if possible, if that's your thing. There are so many different meetings out there today. Not everybody has to go to AA. There's smart recovery, all different recoveries out there. You know, but you have to use one.
Right.
Yeah, you have to have community. Like I said, we heal in community. You know, hey, I'm struggling today. You have a moment to talk to me, and you know, somebody to just maybe redirect the way you're thinking. You know, they may say go for a coffee. They may say let's go to the gym, a yoga class, something where you're going to do something else.
So, I mean, obviously, you know, no one is to blame for what happened to your daughter, but I think it's a very common scenario for providers or for whomever to say, no, she's good. She's okay.
Yeah.
She doesn't need anything additional. She'll be safe. We really don't know that. We don't really know what's going on in someone's head, how they might be masking, right? Or faking it to get through the day, or might be struggling and afraid because look, your daughter had 7 years clean.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was, if she were struggling, I'm sure there's that part of everybody thinks I've been clean and sober and I'm running the groups and, you know, I could run this facility and what would people think if they knew that I was struggling? And of course, I don't know any of this. I'm just speculating. And Dana is one of millions of people who experience the same thing. How would you address that?
Don't believe that lie you're telling yourself. You know, don't hype. Don't be too, you know, oh, I can't do that. You know, don't worry about your humility. Break it down. Go ahead. You know, seek the groups. You know, people, you know, AA cliche, meeting makers make it, but they do. You know, and like I said, not everybody's for AA, but there are so many groups. Don't do things on your own. You know, I meet so many people in this industry, and a lot of them are working a program, or they have a group of people they meet with once a week, and they have their own little program, but they're not staying by themselves. They're not staying in their own head.
One of the things that I often, you know, equate it to is any other kind of medical issue, right? No one blames you if you relapse, you know, if your cancer recurs.
That's right.
Right? You find out, I'm not feeling well. You tell people you're not feeling well. They go with you to the doctor, right? They sit with you as you get your scans done. They're with you as you come up with a treatment plan. There's no shame.
That's right.
And so again, that goes back to the stigma and the shame that you were talking about.
Yeah, so many people, they forget it's not a moral issue, it's a medical issue. You know, like you just said, if I broke my leg or I was sick, you would help nurse me back to health. You would go food shopping for me. But, you know, the person with the substance use disorder needs a different kind of help. First of all, they need the family behind them saying, hey, I support your treatment. I support you getting well. Why don't we go try to find a place for you? It's different kind of help. Then that family member, they need to find their own help.
And that's the important part, because I get it hearing from the families. If you know, if I've been through this 15, 20 times and my son has stolen from me, or he's taken my car and he's crashed it, right? Like, okay, now he's coming to me for the 21st time and I have to give him the same amount of time, energy, and help that I did on time number one. I'm burned out. I can't do it anymore. And so, you know, it's very different, because I don't think we ever really feel that way. No, when somebody has a medical issue, right, they're not generally not stealing from their parents or crashing their car or whatever. So I think that's where the treatment for the family really plays a huge role in. That's part of the disorder. You're allowed to be angry about it, be upset about it, and your son, daughter, partner still needs help.
Right. It's what you do with the anger. How do we express it? It's okay to be mad. But what are we going to do with that getting mad? Use it constructively, or are we going to be part of the chaos? Right. We have a choice. It's like Dana had a choice. It's all about choice. It's what we want to do with it, how we want to move forward. Are we ready to move forward? And we won't be able to unless we seek some sort of help and find out where we're at. Oh, yeah, I'm holding a lot of resentment. I'm holding this inside. I'm really mad. You know, they're just going to do it again.
Resentment is a killer. Yeah. The number one killer of relationships is resentment.
And the stigma is so big. I wrote in my book about...
we're going to talk about your book.
When I first became a coach, I was volunteering in a hospital in Brooklyn. And I always tell this story. A guy I was watching the doctors give such good care. First responder comes in, businessman comes in, they're getting this great care. A guy came in, he had overdosed. He was hit with Narcan, I don't know, once or twice. And the doctor looks at him like, oh, you're back again? Why should I help you?
Yes.
And I'm like, wow. And I'm like looking at this and I'm like, I said, can I talk to him? And they were like, oh, if you like, they're basically blowing me off. And I'm like, okay. So I closed the curtain and I said, can I pray with you? He's like, you would do that? I said, sure. I said, do you want help? Because I would like some. I said, do you like being talked to that way? He's like, not at all. And we called treatment centers, secular and Christian. We found him a bed. The guy's still sober. But I watched, he got such rotten treatment because he was being treated like, somebody from the street, an addict or whatever. People forget these are somebody's child.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody started out in first grade, raised their hand and said, I want to be addicted to substance when I grow up,
Mm-hmm.
And then people don't realize that 70% of the people that are using are in the workforce. They're not the guy in the street. They're not the guy who looks like he needs a shower. They're the guy who's maybe sitting next to you at work.
Look around at your neighbors.
Oh, yeah.
There's
one
at
in 8
least
people in
one
the workforce
person
is using.
Mm-hmm.
So who is it at your table, at your desk, at your company? It's somebody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Somebody is struggling. And
Oh,
and
yeah.
I've seen this, nothing against doctors, of course, but they see an awful lot. And I've heard similar things for, the person who comes in with a heart attack who has not changed
That's right.
certain behaviors too, right? So, and all of these things, it can be hard to make lifestyle changes. It's hard to be and stay sober.
Right.
And that's why the whole team, the collaboration, the connection is so important. So if you can say, how would someone know that a treatment center might be a good match? What are you looking for?
First, you need to know they have to be diagnosed. What's going on. There's a mental health issue going on before the substance even took place. The substance is like self-medicating. Mm-hmm. So evaluations, maybe seeing a therapist first. Hey, they have this going on. Did you know that? And finding treatment centers that are specific for that. So many places say they're dual diagnosis, and they're not. They may say we have a mental health portion, and it may be very minimal. That's why you need to find the right place.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really important is, dual diagnosis is something very specific.
Right.
You have to be able to deal with the mental health component, particularly trauma,
Mm-hmm.
which we see underlies a lot of the substance use, right? And you have to deal with the actual, substance itself. And I see this with eating disorders too,
Right.
where people say they can treat eating disorders, but they really can't. And I think that's a dangerous road to go down is for providers and treatment centers to be, I know it's a business, but to really re-examine, who your target population is going to be then, right?
Places shouldn't be afraid or have to fill the bed when I can refer it to somebody else. And maybe that place I referred to will say, oh, I have the right kind of client for you one day.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just worry about filling the bed.
Right.
When my daughter got clean and sober, I mentioned earlier, the couple that ran the place, I golfed with the husband, and he said to me, your daughter's benefits ran out a long time ago. And I had burned through thousands and thousands of dollars for her treatment. And he said, I will never ask her to leave as long as she wants to be here. And the benefits were over a long time. And she stayed a while, and they put her through school,
Mm-hmm.
It can't only be a dollar thing. I mean, I understand it's a business. But I used to get calls and say, oh, her 28 days is up. If you write me a check for $10,000 to $20,000, she can stay another 10 days. And I would be negotiating.
Yeah.
How about 5?
Mm-hmm.
And they'd make deals with me. And,
Mm-hmm.
a couple $100,000 later, I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
this is still going on.
Mm-hmm. So tell us about your book, From Stigma to Sanity. This is great. Is this on Amazon?
It's on Amazon. You can find it. My QR code is on the front, takes you right to my website as well for coaching.
Oh, there you go. See? We'll post a link to this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I do substance awareness in the workplace. As I leave Wall Street, I'd like to coach. I'd like to come up and do a substance awareness training at every company I can. Let me speak to your HR person. Let me speak to managers. Let me get in front of every broker and trader in your company and teach them how not to be afraid to come forward. Let's break the stigma. Let's look for the sign. If you're a manager, what are the signs to look for? Is the guy taking off every Monday? Is he going out to lunch and not coming back? You know, red eyes. One week he's the best worker in the world. The next week he's terrible. Like, you know, have a conversation with that worker. Hey, you okay? Care about them. Empathy. Not, hey, don't be afraid that you're going to get fired. If you have a company of more than like 20 people, they can't fire you if you raise your hand and say, I have an issue. But if you don't tell anybody, they can fire you.
Yeah, people don't know how the law can protect them.
That's right.
As well. And one of the things I think is difficult is so many companies are still working hybrid or remote. And so that makes it a little bit harder to identify, someone who's struggling.
And companies sweep it under the rug. If you're a high producer in a company and you have an issue, they will not tell anybody. And then again, alcohol is at the forefront of every celebration. If there's an award ceremony, the alcohol is flowing. Mm-hmm. If it's a holiday party or something, the alcohol is flowing. You
want a big case in your law firm. Let's all celebrate.
Flowing. Yeah. And very little non-alcoholic choices at these things. Mm-hmm. Like how about a great mocktail station? Make it attractive. If you're that worker in the company, do you want to walk around with a Diet Coke or a bottle of water? And everybody's like, oh, you don't drink? And
I'm actually going to quote you on that. How about a great mocktail station? Can we make that like a thing, please? I love that. Yeah, I love that.
A big company like Oracle, what they're doing is their first hour of presentations, there's no bar. They'll give the awards, they'll do the ceremonies, they'll have the presentations, and then like an hour and a half in, they'll open up the bar. And if people aren't comfortable, they can leave. If people don't want, and they also have these mocktail stations. Make them fun, Mm-hmm.
Yeah, make it so that alcohol isn't the reason why you're there.
Yeah, because there's choices. I remember going to Christmas parties years ago and telling myself, I'm going to have one drink, and that's going to be it. And I find myself 3 or 4 in, and I'm in trouble. Now, what I may say to a coworker, male or female, what I may say to a boss,
all bets are off.
And once you say it, you can't unsay it.
Yeah.
And people don't think. And what about on your way home? You may kill somebody in an accident. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, I have a black car taking me to the train station. You still may have to drive a mile to the house. Mm-hmm. And things happen in that 1 mile. Mm.
All excellent points. So where can people reach you to find out more about the work that you're doing and maybe even work or consult with you?
I'd love that. Ground Zero Recovery Coaching is my website. There's a QR code on the front of my book.
Which is that's very clever, actually. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's on the back,
I use a coach, and my coach said, you got to write a book. I was going to speak in front of 150 law enforcement. Well, law enforcement in Missouri, DEA agents. And going to tell them my substance awareness program and stuff like that. And my coach said, you got to write a book. I'm like, really? So
you did?
I did. It took me a little while. I had help as far as not writing it, but the structure, what step to do this month and this week. And it got written.
How long did it take you?
About 8 months.
Yeah, that's about how long it took me to write mine. It's like having a baby.
Yeah,
right? It really is.
Oh, no.
It really is. Yeah, it's like a birthing process. Yeah. It's work. People don't know that it is
work.
My
wife couldn't believe when I had free time. I sat down and I did. I wrote. I followed her steps. The woman was very good. I followed her steps.
So you had a writing coach or like a publishing coach?
I don't know. She could be a publishing coach. She just told you what you had to do this week. Mm-hmm. This week, do your outline. This week, do this. Don't do any more. And she, because I'm like thinking 5 steps ahead all the time.
Right.
She's like, don't do that for the book. No, we'll do that in 2 weeks.
That's kind of very therapeutic too. Don't get too ahead of yourself.
Oh no.
Right?
I have one of those minds, like 1,000 thoughts are going through my head. Mm-hmm. And thank God I have a filter today. I don't say them all. Mm-hmm. And
I love that. So Dave, any last words of things that you would definitely want people to know, either about you, your experiences, or just about the industry itself and getting help?
So many things. Like, again, coaching isn't just for the family member with the substance use disorder. You may need a coach as the spouse. You may need a coach as the father or the mother. Don't be afraid to reach out, and we'll get through this. We'll work on things for the person. I'll guide you. If not me, somebody else. There are other great coaches out there. Mm-hmm. But don't do it alone. Don't go online and say that treatment center looks great and make the phone call, because admissions they're there to have you come in. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you may need an intervention. There's plenty of good interventionists out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and again, don't do it alone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Collaboration, connection, they're
And
keys.
seek help for the family.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important.
I love that. Thank you so much, Dave, for joining me today. I'm
glad this worked out.
I really appreciate it. And don't forget to tune in to the next episode of From Mayhem to Mindset with Dr. Laura. Peace out. Thanks for joining us on From Mayhem to Mindset. If you found today's episode helpful, be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and leave a 5-star review. It really helps spread the message. Want to dive deeper? Check out my book, Wisdom from the Universe, available now on Amazon. And if you're looking for a speaker to inspire and transform, I'd love to connect. Visit www.lauraellick.com to learn more. Remember, you don't have to just survive, you can thrive. See you next time.